What's up, everyone? Welcome to Hitting the Field. We got a great show for you today. We got the college basketball genius, Tyler Caron. I mean, it's the GOAT. He knows everything there is to know about college basketball. That's in segment one. And then after him, we're going to have Okelo. We're going to have John. We're going to be talking some NFL draft, some NBA All-Star game. Did you watch the All-Star game? It wasn't that interesting, so I don't blame you if you didn't. But we got a great show for you today. Stay tuned. Hitting the Field starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, now I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Alex Funderburke. And with me today is our college basketball genius, Tyler. Tyler, how you doing, my man?
Genius, that's a big word, but I appreciate it. I do my time, and I'm doing great. We're coming off that North Carolina senior night win over your Duke Blue Devils. Man, it's the best week of the year is coming. One of the best weeks of the year with the conference tournament. Rock, let's get it going.
For sure. And I want to jump right into it. Duke was on the bubble until they got blown out by your Tar Heels. I don't think they're going to get in now, but who are some teams on the bubble right now that you think need a little bit of help?
So as far as needing a little bit of help, I mean, Michigan State, I think that they helped themselves. They needed to get big wins towards these last couple of weeks, and they did that. Beat Indiana twice, beat Illinois, beat Ohio State, beat Michigan. They did what they had to do. I think that they're a lock-in on the tournament now. Depending on what happens in the Big Ten, which Big Ten is such a talented league that even if they don't do well in the tournament or in the conference tournament, I think they got themselves in. Georgia Tech, another team to watch in the ACC, currently as the 4 seed. ACC has been it's been the weakest ACC that we've seen in probably the last 10 years. They've won 6 straight. So I think that they're a team that has done well for themselves going in, and I think they're going to prove themselves even more in the ACC tournament. One of the last 4 ins that have been going around a lot that kind of I'm questioning is Drake. So they finished 25-4, 15-3 in the Missouri Valley. Just lost to Loyola Chicago in the championship on Saturday or Sunday. And with that team, this was a team that was on one of our last undefeated teams when the numbers were getting short. They were there. And then they their second half of the season had some tough losses in there. But I think you look at Drake, they're a team that'll compete. That could be a team that goes deep in the tournament. I think that they deserve a spot in. It's looking like they're going to get a play-in game at this point. Now it's out of their hands. It's up to the selection committee to figure that out. But I think that they're a great team, honestly. And with Loyola Chicago, those two are the big teams in the Missouri Valley. And I think they both deserve a bid in. The last team that I'm really going to mention is Memphis. They have to shine in the AAC tournament with their 15-7 right now. Just lost to Houston in the last regular season game of the year for them on a half-court buzzer beater. I think that proves a case for Memphis as well as hurts Houston a lot. So they're going to need to do something in the American. I don't think more than 2 teams, really, maybe a third. They will be that third team that get in from the American into the dance. And they're going to have to prove themselves in the American tournament in order to meet that and catch up with Houston and Wichita.
No, for sure. And what I think is interesting about Memphis is if UCF wins their first round match against ECU, I'm pretty sure they'll be playing Memphis, which this UCF seems weird because they play well enough to where they can hang in games, And if they're in a game late, UCF might be able to spring an upset and kill Memphis's chances. Which, hey, that could be interesting. I'm with it.
I
let's
agree.
go on a run here. Let's get in the tournament.
Go Knights, charge on, baby. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think Memphis is in trouble in this American Conference tournament, and I don't think they get in the tournament. But they're a team that their future is kind of in their own hands when it comes to the American. Obviously, they win, they're in. They impress, they prove their case. So that'll definitely be a team to watch over the next week.
For sure. So Memphis is a team that needs an impressive performance in the conference tournament. Who else needs an impressive performance in their conference tournament to maybe make a case to the committee to say, hey, we belong in the tournament?
I'll start with the obvious with Duke, the big team. I mean, they at this point they have to win, which I don't think they do. But I mean, they got talent. They do on that team, and you never know with Coach K. One of the best college basketball coaches of all time, going down in the Hall of Fame, the history books. Obviously they lost their stud, Jalen Johnson, who got injured and said, you know what, just going to focus on the draft. Future, he's going to be a lottery pick next year. So it's going to be tougher without him. They have to win to get in. Already talked about Memphis. SMU, another team in the AAC. Again, they're kind of in the same boat as Memphis. They're really going to need a big push. Seton Hall, one big team that I really liked early in the Big East. And since then, they've just kind of been in stall mode going through, not winning winnable games in the end. So they're going to need to really make a push in the Big East if they want to be considered. And then lastly is Indiana. They're currently listed as the 10th seed in the Big Ten. I think this is their time to shine in the tournament, and I think they do, and I think they get in and they play inside of their home state in Indiana where the tournament's being hosted. I think that they're going to end up playing Rutgers. Rutgers is currently listed in the tournament. I think Indiana beats Rutgers in the Big Ten tournament, knocks them out or puts them on the bubble. And even with that one win alone, because then it gets to your top teams in the conference, that is going to put Indiana on the bubble or in, as well as Rutgers on the bubble or out. So I think that's a big thing to watch in the Big Ten tournament is Indiana. Trace Jackson-Davis has been unbelievable this year. I love him. I love my big men. So, yeah, I think Trace Jackson-Davis leads Indiana, and they put on a show in their hometown.
That's something. The Big Ten this year is just absolutely insane. It feels like every team's a tournament team almost. But I want to, get away from bubble teams. Let's talk about the big boys. Who do you have currently right now, Monday at 1:11 p.m.? Who are your 1 seeds and who are your 2 seeds?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit because I think this is how I'm going in with it. I got 5 1 seeds. I got Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa. I can't, I think that Gonzaga and Baylor are locks. I think that I'm happy to see Baylor back up at number 2, even after they lost to Kansas last week. But you have to realize they were coming out of a 3-week pause. They, teams throughout the whole season, they come out of that pause, whether they're the best team or the worst team in the conference. They're stagnant. They're not in the flow. And how can they be? They're on a pause. Where it's kind of scary for Baylor is usually teams, they try to get over that pause hump in one half. They've kind of played 4 bad halves, barely squeaking by with opponents that without the pause, I think they 20 point. So, but I think that they get going again. I think that Gonzaga and Baylor locks for the 1 seed. Then you got the 3 Big Ten teams, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa. I think 2 of them are there. One of them is going to have to be a 2 seed. And who that comes out to be, we'll see in due time. When it gets to my 2 seeds, I think Ohio State has proven themselves. And again, it's tough I think that they're going to be in the Big Ten tournament. They're going to lose. They're not going to win. They're not going to make it to the championship. And that might hurt their case. But personally, in a league that stacked, you have to have 5 teams as the top in the 1 or 2 seed. You just have to do it. I think that they'll beat Purdue, who's currently a higher seed in the conference, lock in their number 2 seed. Texas, West Virginia, and Oklahoma State in the Big 12. I think that at least one of those teams is the number 2 seed. You know, I'm high on Texas. I love that team. They had some on-court issues that we saw in games, but I think they figure it out, get through it. And then, yeah, Kansas, they're not going to be a 2 seed. They're listed as a 4 now. They can't go up from there, I don't think. I think they stay at a 4 seed or lower because they're not going to win the Big 12. Alabama and Arkansas, 2 more teams to watch in the SEC. I think that one of them does win the SEC. They're just kind of at a higher level than anyone else in the conference currently. So whoever wins that, the one team I do not want to see as a 2 seed, and I think they will be, is Houston. We kind of talked about it. The American is not a good league this year. It's just not. And they have losses to ECU, Wichita State, and Tulsa. Wichita is the 1 seed in that conference, and they're listed as an 11 seed in the tournament. So, I mean, I understand Houston, I think, is a better team than Wichita, but I don't think you can have that resume and get a 2 seed. I just don't. Especially when you have guys 8 through 25 or 5 through 25 after Iowa. All those guys could be 2 seeds in my head. You know, they're all that in the tournament, those 3 through 7 seeds, interchangeable, honestly. And you just don't want to be a 5 seed. That's the biggest thing that I can say when it comes to those teams. So I can't give a definite answer. I know I threw a lot at you, trying to get a lot of everyone information, the insight of Tyler Caron, but I can't lock it down. But for sure, 5 1 seeds, if I can do 5, Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa. So
for sure, those are great picks, and I'm kind of with you on Houston. Houston's a weird team because, like, talent-wise, they probably should be there, but their resume just it's not there. It's not there. I want to switch gears here. Who has the chance to be that team that the whole country falls in love with? You know, that Loyola Chicago, that VCU we had, or Florida Gulf Coast. Like, who, if anybody's going to be that team? I know you mentioned Drake. They could be there. They had a good season. Who's going to be that team?
I think that I have to go with Drake on this one. Like I said, they're kind of going to be, I think, again, if they get that play-in game, they're going to be a lower seed in the tournament. And I think that they kind of have the best shot. And it's so tough to predict that Cinderella team. It really is. You have so many different, those 13 seed to 16 seeds that you never know what's going to happen with them. But yeah, I'm big on Drake. I think that they win their play-in game and maybe get out of the first round and make a major upset over a 3 seed, a 4 seed, a 2 seed, perhaps, maybe, depending on where they get seeded.
For sure. And I'm going to pick one. Army is in the conference semifinal for the first time since 2016. My dad's friend, Coach Jimmy Allen, he's doing things at West Point. Army's going to get into the tournament for the first time in school history, and they're going to be the team everyone falls in love with. I have nothing to go off of. It probably won't happen. They got their semifinal Wednesday night against Loyola. Loyola upset 1 seed Navy in the quarters, and Army dominated American in the quarterfinal on Saturday. So Wednesday night, Army's taking on Loyola in the semifinal. CBS Sports Network, tune in, watch my boys win. They're gonna get to the final. They're gonna upset Colgate in the final. It's gonna happen. Army's gonna be the Cinderella this year. Book it.
I like it. I haven't had a chance to watch them, so I'll keep my eyes on them on Wednesday night for sure.
Bet. But I want to jump into the fun part now, the Final Four. You're the genius. You're going to get this 100% correct. These 4 teams are going to the Final Four. You're going to get them all right. Who is it?
It's going to be Gonzaga Baylor, just based on, like, those are my 2 locks. I think they're just on a higher level. They have been all season over teams. Like I said, I've already talked about Baylor. They get back to their Baylor selves. Mark Few, Coach of the Year, I think, for Gonzaga. I think that Juwan Howard, I was big on him, kind of lost that after losing to Michigan State. So Gonzaga, led by Mark Few, Coach of the Year, they're going to get there. Scott Drew led Baylor, they're going to get there. Now it'd be easy to just have a bunch of 1 seeds and 2 seeds. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. So FSU, they are a team that are known to make runs deep in the year. They've lost through, like, the last couple of games of the regular season. Like, they haven't been perfect, like a lot of people might have anticipated them to be. I think you have to lose to win in certain situations, and I think FSU is one. So I'm going to go FSU has a shot at being there. And I think in the tournament, they're either a first round exit or an Elite Eight right there. And I think they have a chance at the Final Four, again, depending on how the bracket shakes out. Virginia, I think that they lose the ACC and possibly make a run under Tony Bennett leading the way. Those are kind of my two top picks. Because again, like I said, easy to say Iowa, Illinois, Michigan. Based off Michigan's predicted bracket, I think that's the one that they have Houston as the 2 seed. If that's their biggest competition, Michigan is in. But is there going to be 3 1 seeds in the Final Four? I don't think so. So just to switch it up a little bit, going Gonzaga, Baylor, FSU, Virginia. And the surprising thing about that, no Big Ten teams of any that I just mentioned. So, but there very well could be 3 Big Ten teams. But just to make it a little bit interesting, not going that way, I'm going Gonzaga, Baylor from the Big 12, 2 ACC teams, and ACC being the lowest they've been in a while. But bold predictions, that's what we're here for.
Oh, for sure. So all you people who are going to be filling out your bracket, make sure you have those 4 teams. But we're going to have Tyler on again once the brackets get revealed. We're going to have a big March Madness show. The show is only going to be March Madness. We're going to have the Genius on again. But that's all the time we have. Make sure you stay with us. In the next segment, we got Okelo coming on. We got John coming on. We're going to talk some NBA All-Star Game, and we're also going to talk about the NFL Draft coming up. So stick with us, Tyler. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Always a blast. Go Heels, baby.
Here's the story of a show creator who was gearing up to form a bigger crew.
One's a California guy,
a god of graphics.
one hosted Girls on Deck.
It's a story of a 4-year nightmare, which is finally coming to an end. Thank God. And the new kid, a Packers lover.
Tampa forever.
So then one day all these people work together to face a year unlike one that's ever been. And his group rebranded in Orlando. That's the way we all became HTFN. 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 That's the way we became HTFN. That's blasphemy!
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Now I am joined with Okelo Pena and John Alfano. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. It's been too long since I've been on.
For sure. It's been a hot minute, but Okelo, how are you doing?
Feeling pretty good. New month, Alex. New topics to discuss. We switch from Black History Month to Women's History Month, so we back to back making history. So I'm ready to continue to trailblaze on for HTF.
For sure. Guys, I want to start off with the All-Star game last night. We had the dunk contest, skills challenge, 3-point contest, and the actual game itself. If you didn't watch, Team LeBron won all 4 quarters. Sabonis won the skills challenge. Steph Curry won the 3-point contest because, of course. Anthony Simons won the dunk contest because he almost had a cool dunk. He didn't actually do it. He kind of robbed Obi, but I'm not salty. John, I guess I'll start with you. Did you watch any of this, or were you like a lot of people on social media who just did not care about the All-Star game this year?
I'll be honest, I didn't watch it live. I brushed up on some highlights this morning to get kind of familiar with the game, make sure I was ready for the show, but I didn't watch it live. From what I could tell, it seemed okay. Just nothing. I was very busy last night, but because it's not like I didn't care about it, but it seemed like a decent game.
Yeah, and this year is weird because you have the pandemic going on. The players didn't really want to go to Atlanta for this. Okelo, do you think this All-Star game should have taken place in the first place?
No, I was surprised that it still went on, especially when players like LeBron James and De'Aaron Fox said that they had no business in wanting to play whatsoever. You know, despite the fact that it was charity, I feel like it was all just kind of like sort of like fluff just to make, you know, the game more interesting. I mean, we had the Pro Bowl canceled. The NHL is not doing an All-Star game this year. They could have done an alternate event, probably a 2K tournament, to maybe subside this. I feel like this was just something for the owners just to make money. It didn't have the pageantry. It was dull. It just didn't have the same energy as probably last year's All-Star game was, or even years prior. So I didn't feel the magic. I didn't feel the buzz. To me, it was just something where I was probably watching Animal Planet more than this game. So.
Yeah, no, this game was weird because last year you had the pageantry. It was the first big sporting event since the passing of Kobe Bryant, and the NBA really showed out for it. This just felt forced. It wasn't that entertaining. I watched it all last night. It wasn't entertaining. I don't know. There was no energy there. It just felt like they were out there playing because they had to be, which sucks. But that's all we're going to focus on the All-Star game because, like I said, it wasn't that interesting. But the NFL draft is coming up, the combine's coming up, and we had someone at the I Am Athlete Combine. And I'll throw it to you, Okelo. Tell us about your experience and who should we be on the lookout for?
Oh man, so first off, Alex, I mean, I'm a little bit red because it was hot as ever in South Florida getting it down for the combine, but what a spectacular event. I mean, kudos to Brandon Marshall, a former UCF alumni, putting on this event, giving the best opportunities for some of college football's best. Even though it didn't have over 100 plus players, I mean, we still got guys to even show out, even former kicker Donald De La Haye. It was a wonderful event. Former NFL vets out there, Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, Brady Quinn, Channing Crowder. So it was a wonderful event, something that I'll definitely remember for a while. But I'll say at the combine, other than just focusing on a UCF alumni, I think one guy who's been kind of trending upward in terms of the draft stat that I got to take a look at more is Texas A&M quarterback Kellen Mond. I had an opportunity to meet him, Alex. I mean, very, very humble young guy. I met his mom and his dad and his girlfriend at the combine. And Kellen Mond is starting to show that he could be a late first round draft pick quarterback if he continues this upward trend. I mean, he did amazing at the combine. I actually have some notes that I want to get out real quick because, I mean, his 40-yard dash, his vertical, his broad jump, he basically showed out in terms of it. And especially for a quarterback, Alex, I think he definitely, made more of an impact. I mean, he was the only one there along with Jeff George, and also one receiver, Brandon Smith out of Iowa. I mean, he and Kellen Mond to me were the top two stars of that combine. You know what Brandon Smith ran as a 40? He ran a 4.3. That guy had definitely speed. I think he's a sleeper to watch in this draft. So I definitely got to see the best out of some of these athletes, and kudos to them. Brandon Smith, like I said, Kellen Mond, and one more name to get out, Eric Stokes, 4.23 40. Official. Put it up against Chris Johnson or John Ross. He's definitely going to be a guy, I think, as a top-tier rated cornerback. Hopefully guys like Mel Kiper, Mike Mayock, or Chris Sims give him an opportunity, but I definitely got to see some showcase, and I think these are some guys to watch out for, especially Kellen Mond, because I think from the Senior Bowl, especially this past season at A&M, he's definitely showed a trend upward and definitely leaping over some quarterbacks. Definitely, I know you like Trey Lance, Alex, but he's definitely, I think, usurped him so far. So I definitely like I said, Eric Stokes, Kellen Mond, and Brandon Smith to be some guys to watch out for.
That's interesting that you mentioned Kellen Mond. Sean and I actually talked about Kellen Mond a little bit on Almost Game Day on his last episode. John, I know this wasn't necessarily planned, but what do you personally think about Kellen Mond as a quarterback?
I think he's a very solid quarterback who could have a future. He played really well this past year, got the Texas A&M to the Orange Bowl, and you could make the argument that they should have been in the college football playoff. I think if he's not ready to be a starter right away, I don't think. But if the right team drafts him and they can develop him behind a proven veteran, I think he could have a bright future in the league.
For sure. I definitely think this might be a hot take, but I think Kellen Mond will have a better NFL career than Zach Wilson will. I'm just not a believer in Zach Wilson. Okelo, I don't know about you, but what do you think about Zach Wilson? Is he a top quarterback to you?
He has, in my opinion, the same, I want to say, question mark that Kyler Murray had when he came out. He was too short, undersized, as well as the fact of the offense that he played in. Zach Wilson is one of those wild cards where you hope it's something good. He has that dual threat ability, great rocket arm for his size, but he's a guy that I'm still pumping the brakes on. Like I said, I think, like, you look at Kellen Mond, he's 6'4", he's 220 pounds of great arm strength, great accuracy, awareness. He's able to read the pocket, read coverages. Some of the stuff I saw at the combine was definitely things that I think could make him, in that conversation with Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. And hopefully his pro day, he'll be able to get to show that. Again, like I said, nice, humble young man, coming from San Antonio, Texas. Of course, he went here at the IMG Academy in Florida for his senior year. But I'm hopeful for Zach Wilson. But like I said, he just has the question mark to me because of the skill set that he's played in, and of course the size. Even though, like, Kyler Murray and Drew Brees and Russell Wilson have broken some of those barriers, it's still that over hurdle to handle, especially when you want to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL to carry your team.
No, for sure. To me, I don't know why, he just reminds me of Josh Rosen. I just feel like he's going to be on a practice squad real soon. And I don't know. I don't know. John, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson?
To be honest, I need to see more of him. He's played against not the greatest competition. BYU had a very good schedule before the season, but that got destroyed due to COVID, and they had to play a bunch of teams that were far below their talent level. Sorry, UCF. And the biggest game of the year against Coastal Carolina, they lost that. I'm not sure exactly how much he had to do with it, but the fact that they weren't even in the top tier of or they were like just on the fringe of the top tier of group of 5 teams is kind of concerning to me for someone who should be a top prospect. But then again, I mean, you have Josh Allen, who went to an even smaller, more obscure school in Wyoming, and then look at what he's done this year. So maybe I could be completely wrong.
For sure. And, like, I don't know. There's just something about him. I'm not sold. But if he does turn out to be a Josh Allen, that'd be pretty cool. But you briefly mentioned UCF there, so I want to bring it to the NFL Combine. We got some Knights that were invited: Richie Grant, Trey Nixon, and Aaron Robinson. But someone big is missing, Okelo. Where's Marlon Williams?
Unfortunately, he wasn't there at the combine. What I saw on Instagram, believe it or not, at the show was that he was in Miami, but he wasn't on the list. And I guess it was just a surprise. I was surprised he didn't want to take the opportunity, especially to gain knowledge from a UCF alum who's a 13-year vet, a 6-time Pro Bowler, to be able to showcase his skills. And, Marlon has the potential to be a first-round receiver. I feel like he's not getting talked about as much. And I'm surprised that, he was not available at this opportunity. Tay Gowan was fortunately enough to be there. As I mentioned, Donald De La Haye, destroying, as we all know him to be, took advantage of this opportunity. So, I was surprised as many people that Marlon was a no-show, and, that he didn't, want a chance to do it. So hopefully he'll be available on Pro Day.
So he wasn't available for the I Am Athlete Combine, but he also didn't get invited at all to the actual NFL Combine, which is virtual this year. But that's what kind of shocked me, John. Were you expecting Marlon Williams to get an NFL Combine invite?
I feel like he should have. You look at how electric he was for UCF's offense this year, and in years past, he was one of the key cogs that kept them going. And so I feel like he should have at the very least, gotten the combine invite and gotten the chance to prove his worth to teams.
No, for sure. I'm with you there. Okelo, out of the 3 guys who are going to be in the NFL Combine, Richie Grant, Trey Nixon, and Aaron Robinson, who do you think will go the highest, and where do you think they'll go?
I have to say Aaron Robinson. I think, from start to finish at his time at UCF, he's been, if not one of the premier corners in college football that I feel like doesn't get a lot of talked about, of course, because UCF is supposedly small, and B, he just reminds me so much, and I hate to give him that type of title early, but he reminds me of Stephon Gilmore, a guy that can lock up your receiver, a guy that could jam you down 5 yards, and he's able to get the interceptions that you need to. He has the lockdown ability and the key ball awareness of a Marcus Peters and Xavier Howard, which I think separates him from some of the corners that are going to be mentioned in the draft. Now, granted, Richie Grant has been moving up in draft stock, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes at the earliest a second round, maybe third. But I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Robinson becomes a first round draft pick. I'm hopeful that he will. Like I said, UCF hasn't had the best sort of luck in terms of corners coming out in the draft. I mean, we've had Asante Samuel, we've had of course our guy for the Vikings, but I'm hopeful that maybe we'll break the trend and get a first round pick with Robinson or Grant, because they both have the talent.
For sure. And I'm going to come back to you because we just lost John. Hopefully we're able to get him back. What do you think? What team do you think is a good fit for Aaron Robinson or Richie Grant?
That's a good question. I think it's a team that's going to need help on the secondary, and it's really hard to tell. I mean, I could look at a team like the Arizona Cardinals, for example. I mean, they could be moving on from Patrick Peterson, for example. I feel like that's a plug and play right there for Aaron Robinson to come in and to be able to develop his skills, and be able to get the better of being there. I also look at the Tennessee Titans as another fit. A team that has a good defense and I think is a missing piece or two away. The Denver Broncos is another option. And I'll even say the Cincinnati Bengals. I think, those are some teams that I'm eyeballing Aaron Robinson or Richie Grant to go to. Got teams that need help on the secondary, who do not need to be torched come playoff time, maybe Kansas City if they're lucky as well. So it's just really teams that need to fit the scheme in terms of impact defensive ball hawk players. And I think those teams could utilize a guy like Richie Grant and Aaron Robinson, who have those skill sets and could be able to become an opposing threat for receivers on the secondary.
For sure. I'd love to see Richie on my Cowboys. We need some secondary help.
You do. You do.
Yeah, no, we do. I'm sick of watching the Cowboys get torched every Sunday. But I want to toss it to your Steelers now. Okay, who do you want the Steelers to draft?
Signs have been pointing for me to want to draft a quarterback. It looks like we're going to hopefully get some more offensive line help. My biggest dream is that we did what we did in 2019 and trade up early to get a high talent like we did with Devin Bush back in 2019. The hope is that maybe we could get Penny Sunil out of Oregon, but then again, that's just a poor man's Steelers dream. Like the idea that we could have great cap space now that Ben took a pay cut, but I'm interested to see, because it could be offensive line. Personally, it could be quarterback. I've heard Matt Jones, Kyle Trask being linked to us, not particularly to as excited as I wanted, maybe to trade for Sam Darnold or somebody else. But, I'm looking at either offensive line, hopefully later on in the draft, because I feel like our defense is set. So it's really just focusing on the offensive line, as well as maybe the future of our depth, maybe even get a receiver. Marlon Williams could be that fit to help out with James Washington, Chase Claypool, and then Juju Smith-Schuster if he's gone.
For sure. And one last question, and we'll wrap things up. Who is someone who maybe you don't think is talking about enough, that come draft day is going to climb and is going to go higher than people expected?
It's the man with the 4.2 speed. I feel like I gotta repeat it one more time. 4.2 speed, and I know that number is up and down, but Eric Stokes Jr., this kid out of Georgia, like I said, Alex, I was in person to watch him, and just the amount of quickness and speed that he has for a corner, I feel like he could be a future gadget for an NFL team. You could put him out in special teams. You could put him out maybe to even catch a pass at receiver. He just has that ability, with quickness, ball awareness, and Ryan Clark put him through some paces on Friday. And I think that he lived up to it. He doesn't look like a guy that could get tired. So if Eric Stokes Jr. doesn't get talked about, I'm surprised that his 4.23 did not get blown up on social media on Friday. Because for a cornerback, mind you, to do that, not an offensive position, a cornerback to be able to run that type of speed, second try, didn't even break a sweat. He made it look effortless. So I'm excited for Eric Stokes Jr., Brandon Smith, and another guy, Amari Rogers out of Clemson. I know Justin Ross, he kind of got lost in the shuffle a bit in terms of that amazing Clemson team with so many offensive power. Travis Etienne, of course, being one of the invitees at the Combine. But I'm looking at Amari Rogers as well to maybe be that sleeper pick at receiver. The Dolphins have been looking at him extensively as I've been reading, and he did pretty well. 4.4, 40-yard dash, had a very high vertical jump at 11 feet and 2 inches. So I'm looking at Amari Rogers to be that guy that could be that hidden gem, Alex. Maybe for your Cowboys to maybe add another receiver in there. Maybe for the Jets to get somebody that I think that is going to make more noise than probably any first round pick receiver that comes out of the class.
For sure. Okelo, thank you for joining me. John, who unfortunately got disconnected, bad Wi-Fi in the student union. I want to thank John for joining me, but that's all the time we have for today. Stay tuned because after this commercial break, I'll come back with a rant. I don't have a rant yet, Okelo. What should I rant about this week?
That's a good question. How about give Donald De La Haye a chance to sign with the Arizona Cardinals, because he went and did a kicking camp this past weekend in Phoenix, and the Cardinals cut Zane Gonzalez. So knock on wood, we get him an opportunity.
Maybe. You'll have to stay tuned to see what I rant about after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of the meeting this week. So you know what we're going to talk about? Basketball. The second thing we're going to talk about this week is basketball. Okay? And the third and last thing we're going to talk about is basketball. Yeah.
God, yeah. It's ridiculous. I want to quit. Can I quit? Take that.
Look at the screen. What are we talking about this week?
Basketball.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back. We had a great show. I want to thank Tyler, Okelo, and John for joining me today. We had a blast. It's always fun talking to those guys. And be sure to come back next week or the week after for when the brackets come out. We're going to have a March Madness show breaking down each region, and it's going to be a great time. So be sure to tune in for that. But for this rant, I want to talk about Adam Silver. He's normally someone I consider to be the best commissioner in modern sports history. He's always ahead of the curve with literally everything. He puts the players first, which I think is most important in a professional sports league. But he dropped the ball in this. The All-Star game did not need to happen. There was no reason to put all those star players at risk. What happens if there's an outbreak there? Now the league's down all of their best players for a good 2 weeks. It just does not make sense. Now, it could have been very, very, very bad. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid were out due to contact tracing. So why do this? It just felt like a money grab. And the event that went on was not that interesting. It's the first time I've just really questioned Adam Silver. He's, like I said, he's always someone who is thinking ahead. He's forward thinking. He's that guy. He's the guy you want all sports commissioners to be. I wish Manfred was like that for baseball. I wish Roger Goodell was like that for football. They're just not. Adam Silver is leaps and bounds ahead of them. But he made a Rob Manfred type decision in having this All-Star game. And he originally canceled it. It was supposed to be in Indiana. And he said, you know what? It doesn't make sense to have the All-Star game. Let's just can it. But then I guess he found out the league was losing money. And it's like, yo, we need some money. We need some money. We need some money. Let's go down to Atlanta, where there's not been many COVID restrictions. The mayor has been telling people to stay home. because the governor of Georgia wants to stay open. But the mayor has been like, yo, like, it's not safe. Stay home, please. Wear a mask. But they haven't been. Atlanta's been open. Atlanta's been one of the few places that have just been wide open for a very long time. But for some reason, Adam Silver thought it was a good idea to bring all the NBA stars down there to have an all-star game. It just doesn't make sense to me. Let me know what you guys think. We had a great show. Stay tuned this week. We got a bunch of great stuff coming out. But that's it. Be easy. Have a good one.
What's the deal? Trying to find a kid, I'm in a field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back. Okay, always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap.